Okay. I want to talk about a topic that is actually a topic that haunts me, primarily because it's such a vicious um, thing. Um, but it's a very typical thing for humans to experience. I'm not going to say it's natural or normal, or maybe I think the response sometimes may be natural, but and it makes me uncomfortable because it's jealousy. And I wrote the book in false humility. Okay, I have like been trained to be humble, so much so to the point where I'm unlearning humility because it's sometimes not even genuine. And we have to talk about jealousy because that thing is sneaky and people are dealing with it way more than they want to admit. It's insidious. And when you are special, and by special I mean you've done the work, you've leaned into, being a good person and all of those things. When you're that type of person, you are literally bait to the enemy. Or I'm trying to have like less spiritualized terms. You are bait to people who are not good people. And some people are dealing with multiple things, insecurities and wounds, that those wounds will create let's say, the unmotivation to do things, what we call lazy, right? Sometimes those things are people's wounds. And what will happen is those wounds will cause you to like not go after your dreams, but then you'll look at somebody who went after their dreams and then you'll envy them living out their dreams. And it's easier to just covet or want what they have because you just see the result and not the process. So if you do not know me personally, my name is Brittany Gray. My father, his name is Percy Gray Jr. He is a Grammy and Stellar Award, he's Grammy nominated, Stellar Award winning producer and songwriter and gospel artist. He's wrote songs like Clap Your Hands, Keep On Making a Way, I'm in Love with Jesus, God Is My Everything. Yeah, like songs like that. I Can Go to the Rock. Yes. So this is important because it frames a lot of my experiences with people. I am one of 4 children. I am actually the last born of my parents. And there is a 12, 10, and 5-year age gap. So I always describe myself as like the youngest only child. My brother, who's 5 years older than I am, he was a multi-sport athlete. So he was always like gone in a way. And so like he went away to college when I was 13. So yeah, I'm very sheltered, or I was very sheltered. When I was 6 or 7 years old, my dad was laid off from his job and he went into music full time. So my dad worked like 25 years. Very hardworking man. He earned his keep for sure. So like I was born in the house that my parents bought a year before. I was the only child that was born into like 2 parents who own property, right? Like, so I have a mantle essentially that like my siblings didn't even have. So giving a lot of context here. When I was 12 years old, my eldest brother was killed. And so imagine how your parents now treat their children in the aftermath of like a tragedy like that. The area that I'm from, Ada Park, um, what was always safe became unsafe. You know what I'm saying? And so, like, my parents minimized a lot of opportunities for me to, like, be outside. Like, I could go outside, and, like, they were very protective of me. And I think with my dad having like multiple choirs and like so many people wanting to be around him, there were people who like just saw my family, specifically like my dad's children and his wife, as competition, if that makes sense. And so how I am now, like, that was how I was as a kid, and I was protected primarily by my daddy. I was very sensitive. I was a crybaby, but I also was like a loudmouth. Like, I voiced my opinions. I didn't shut up. I didn't realize, like, I didn't have like the filter that people teach their kids to have, and it was because I had ADHD and possibly autism. But my dad protected me, and so there were some people who saw that as like, I mean, it was spoiled. Like, it was spoiled, and yeah. And then there are some people who it didn't matter how I presented. They just felt some type of way because their goal was proximity to my dad. And but anyway, there is one particular story I want to tell as it relates to jealousy, because I think this is important, and hindsight is 2020, and I've been processing this for far longer than I've even like knowingly can remember. I've like processed this. There was a specific friend who came around, paid attention, knew the economics and the economy of like Gray Boy, got close, established relationship, established trust with my dad, and I ended up encountering this person in a context outside of the safety of Gray Boy. This person then showed their true colors, that they were really a wolf in sheep's clothing. The love, respect that I received from them when they perceived themselves to be in my territory, that was not the love that I received in a different context. And I'm saying this because I spent so much time trying to reconcile what I felt to be true, which was, this person is my friend. This person, because they were doing the things of a friend, but the roots was not matching up, and those fruits were springing up. And this individual has the spirit of Cain on them so bad that I really strongly believe that this person is tied to a very critical loss in my life. And so I believe what happened was, this person was on assignment, and I'm trying to be careful because I don't want to demonize the person as much as I want to expose the spirit that engenders the person. This person was on assignment to lure me out of my safe place and to do harm to me. This spirit that this person is driven by has caused so much ruin in many areas of my life. And when I tell you that it has taken some time and some healing and some strength and just understanding of spiritual warfare to be able to say this without like melting, to be able to say this without wanting to just like give 50 straight, because I can. But when you understand the severity of the war that's going on, nobody's safe. Nobody's safe. And so you have to know where safety is. And for me, that is in my identity in Christ. And so that's how I keep my heart fleshly. Because if you sit down with the things that people do to conspire against you, if you really actually sit down and think of the evil, and I'm not blaming the people, right? Like, and okay, this is not to say that the people are not to blame, but what I'm saying is I'm not trying to make this but if you think about the tactics and you sit down, the evil that was concocted for you is so vicious that it literally makes you cry, because when you really, really, really understand the purpose for that sort of evil, and its purpose is to literally harm you and take you out the game, you have no other choice but to remove people. The enemy's plan is to steal, kill, and destroy. And so I am sorry. I am not going to stay on a ship that is sinking if I know I have an opportunity to get out and I have a lifeboat. Unfortunately, we are not saviors. We had a savior and people have a choice. And so, I had a friend that said to me, "You said you knew me." And I'm like, yes, but that does not give you an excuse for your behavior. And so I have to get off this boat while there is an exit before you take me down. It hurts, y'all. It hurts. It hurts. But when you know a person, like, it's not them, but it's something on them, man. And let me tell you something about the spirit of jealousy. It is not a spirit to be played with. It's not no hoe. And you have to call that thing out, because if you don't, it hides. Because if you think about it, no one wants to be accused of jealousy, because it really exposes the very more vulnerable demons, right? That insecure demon, exposes so much rot in a person. And that's the thing, these spirits do not want to be exposed. And so when you start picking up on a person's change behavior or weirdness and you call it out and they go off and they get crazy, that's because exposure causes frantic behavior. If somebody responds very extreme to your calm, so this is why I say, if you and guess what? Jealousy can get all of us. So if it is a feeling that you felt, guess what? It's a feeling that even the realest person will struggle with saying that they feel. That's why we have a lot of people who just watch and consume, because the lustful desire to covet turns into envy and jealousy. So if you felt jealousy, the best thing to do is fall on your face, go to the Lord before, and sometimes you're going to have to confess that thing to the person that you felt that way about. Jealousy is murder. Relationship cannot thrive in jealousy. No relationship can thrive in jealousy. You can't thrive carrying. It's such a murderous spirit. because it murders the person. It seeks to murder the person. It murders you because then your whole identity is in the obsessive lust and consumption of this other person. You know, a lot of people think jealousy is somebody wanting what you want. No, sometimes it's they just want you gone. They hate your existence. Had a companion who literally hated that people thought I was funny, and they made it their business to challenge all of my jokes and how I was not really funny. And you know what I did? I was just like, oh, well, we grew up different. So what's funny to them is a little more different than what making excuses. You cannot make excuses for something that's not that person's. Let them go and restore them if they come back. But let that go. And I say let them go because people say, oh, we shouldn't do that to people. No, people have a choice. The Bible said that Cain was warned. God told him sin was crouching at his door. Cain had a choice. Cain decided to become a beast in the field, a child of the serpent, and killed his brother. And he was warned. And so Cain had a choice. And guess what? I have been forewarned. Abel didn't get the forewarning, but I did. And so just like Cain chose to open the door knowing that sin was crouching at the door and went out there and lured his brother in the field and took him anyway, why would I choose to keep you in my boat or stay on your boat while you let it sink? And I want to bring why I brought up my identity and connected to my dad, because as children of God, okay, our dad is who our dad is. And because of that, people will hate you. They don't even know why. You annoy them. You just get on you're not their vibe. Like, sometimes it's because of who your dad is. Sometimes people see your light and they want to know how you get to shine that way. And it's so funny that people, feel that way about me because, like, okay, yeah, I came up in a good context, but I've had some troubles. I've had some troubles, right? And man. I think about my personality. I talk to my dad all the time, and I tell my dad, thank you for giving me the life that you gave me because you allowed me to become. Like, when I am fully comfortable with who I am and I really let my hair down, I am the goofiest person. And I was able to be that in a way that my brothers weren't able to be and my sister was not able to be. And so I thank God for that. And I also realized that sometimes people hate I had a soft life. And sometimes people resent that. And it's not because they resent you. It's just maybe they wished for that themselves. Or sometimes people don't even know that this is how you get to be when you are soft. And I'm going to say this. I acknowledge the extreme privilege that I have to have an earthly example because it helped me access the heavenly example. That is a privilege. And I stand in full awareness that a lot of who I am, I got a head start to be. But I want to say this. In God, you are a new creature and you have an identity in Him. And what I'm saying is, for the people who have longed for that example, and I'm not saying that you don't need an earthly example, but I'm telling you, you will get that type of treatment in God. And I think nobody can vouch for God better than a daddy's girl can. And so, like, God will place people who will give you exactly what your father could not give you. Because a lot, what I do realize is, and this is why spiritual language is so important to me, infusing that with just like mental health and stuff, because when you have issues with your identity, or when you have what we call daddy issues, it's abandonment, it's rejection, and these are wounds, and these are entry spots where the enemy can take advantage of those things. And so what he'll do is he will, like, God will place people around you to be conduits of healing, and the enemy will like use those moments to be like, look at them, you know what I'm saying, like sow seeds. Because here's the thing, the enemy cannot create. The only thing he can do is confuse. So he will confuse you and make you think that your sister is your competition. And I'm not just talking to women. He'll convince you that your brother is your competition. You know what I'm saying? He'll have you looking at another person and coveting. This is why coveting is against, it's in one of the 10 commandments. Because when it's like you're looking over at somebody else's stuff and you're not tending to your stuff. And then you start desiring what they got, or you're so worried about who they are more than you're worried about your own self, and you're wasting away. But the entire time you're lusting and obsessing and desiring and coveting what this person have, but you don't even know what they did to get there. You don't, but this is what people mean when they say you don't know the cost of the oil. And I'm going to tell you, and I'm going to wrap this up. For so long, my response was humility. To prove it to these niggas that I ain't like that I'm humble, that I ain't gotta show off, that I ain't gotta do this. And it's like, that is such a trick of the enemy, because the Bible says we are the salt of the earth. We are a city on a hill. People should see us and have hope. I should absolutely be stunting like my daddy. I should absolutely there's somebody, I don't want to say their name because maybe they don't want to be called out, but they would always say, like, girl, if Percy was my daddy, I would do this. And I remember downplaying when people would say that all the time. And now that I'm walking in the fullness of light, I'm like, you're right. And what I did was I spent more time creating zones of safety for people who were not even safe to be around me. And the only way you get to do that is when you are away from the flock. It's when you've been fully lured. And so I spent more time trying to make my life comfortable for these vultures. And I was out of form. And that's why things kept dying. That's why situations weren't coming to life, because I'm telling this person what's going on, and then next thing it fell through. Or this person is fully involved in this business deal that I got up, and now it has been called off. I remember a friend telling me that they had a person in their life who they had identified that there was something on them, because things will fall through from them. And I remember seeing, that so clearly, like, yeah, I've been trying to tell you. Entire time, it's nothing but wolves dressed up as sheep in my life. There was an individual who stayed in my home. My baby died 2 weeks later. I've never seen that person again. Well, I ended up seeing them maybe 2 or 3 years after that. Never saw them again. They never visited me. They never came to check on me. And it was hard not to think that I don't even want to go down that hole. What I'm saying is, what you have is so precious to you and to God that for too long you let them stay. There is kingdom work that needs to be done. God is tired. He knows you're willing, so he's just removing. He's like, okay, I tried to let them do it so it wouldn't hurt, but now I gotta pluck these people out, and it's just gonna have to be what it is, because there is a work to be done, and I cannot allow this person to keep dropping their seeds on fallow ground. So that's why that person ain't your friend no more, because they were killing every single thing that you were trying to bury and water and grow. And so for me, when I identify that thing in this season, I'm giving people an opportunity to talk about it, because deliverance is for everybody. Forgiveness and healing. And sometimes somebody lovingly needs to be called out so that that thing can be dealt with, and it doesn't become a poisonous root in the development and the growth of your relationship. And some people are not taking those conversations, and guess what? If you don't want to take them, or you don't want to take them well, then have a good day. I'll be here when you're ready. Or maybe I won't. I don't know. That's up to God. But I'm telling y'all, jealousy can hit any of us. Guard your heart. Watch those desires. All desires are not godly desires. And stay prayed up. Love y'all.